It's a hashtag feud, the tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud, the tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger, and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's a hashtag feud, the tension brews. Opinions clash like unstoppable views. A digital brink where patience shatters with each post and each fiery scatter. Just retweets, clashes and echoes of grins. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, mine's a keyboard. So go to war if that's what makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. It's like a drug, it's poison in my mind. My thumb is the trigger and I've got you in my sights. And if it's all part of God's plan, I'd like to have a word with him. I'm not a fan. So take me to war, I hope it makes you feel alive. I'll take it personally, but won't take it offline. Guess who's back when the clock strikes late? Jimmy's here to roast, can't wait. Politicians shaking in their seats. He's got punchlines hotter than your tweets. Kimmel's back, hide your headlines. Jokes so sharp they should come with guidelines. From Trump's new mugshot to AI fears, he'll laugh us right through the coming years. Celebs on strike, billionaires to space. Jimmy's grinning with that poker face. TikTok scandals, crypto crash. Guillermo's pouring shots in a solo splash. Kimmel's back, hide your headlines. Jokes so cheeky, crossing state lines. From Barbie memes to climate news, nobody's safe from the jokes he'll use. Congress fights on cable news. Jimmy's got the bloopers queued. If therapy, we're all in luck, cause laughter's free when the world feels stuck. Kimmel's back, turn the lights on, cue the band, the laughs go long. He'll roast your ego, spill your tea. It's late night chaos on ABC.
All right. Welcome. Good morning. I see like I had a few people in. I'm having kind of a rough morning actually, and I'm really congested, and that's my fault. Yesterday was kind of a rough day for me, and it wasn't just about the rantings of like Becky Dean on her YouTube channel. It's just like a culmination of things that happened yesterday. And I broke down and I ended up getting a pack of cigarettes. And I used to be a smoker, and I had quit. And with some of the stress that's been going on, like with Thomas Schoenberger, and I actually picked up a pack of cigarettes again like 3 years ago and smoked off and on when I first split from Thomas Schoenberger. Actually, I wonder, like, I kind of feel like that's sort of symbolic, because I'm thinking, well, why am I damaging myself? Really, because I have asthma. I think I'm actually allergic to cigarettes. And, people criticize about how nasal I sound. And I broke my nose when I was 5. And also I have really bad allergies. And so it's kind of like been sort of it's just kind of a quality that unfortunately I have. I do my best to alleviate it and to overcome it, but despite that, I have been performing and speaking publicly and doing radio, doing whatever for most of my life. So, I guess like the critics out there can say whatever they want. And it's kind of like, it's sort of getting used to, like being the whole thing. I started thinking about like, what is it like to, here you are in the public eye, right? And I've been in the public eye a lot. And I had, you guys would never want to like validate that, but I had 15 minutes of fame when I was on Last Comic Standing. And, it's at that time, that was 2003, and the internet was there, and people, had forums that they made comments on. So there was like a forum of people that watched Last Comic Standing, and they had a couple of guys who ran it. And I even actually did an interview with them. And, for whatever reason, I was, a person that people like to talk about on Last Comic Standing, because being a reality show, you kind of like went back in the veil and you kind of saw like, you saw us live. And, there's a reality show, people get into characters, and there's someone who's the villain. And, it's kind of like, almost like, even though we were comedians competing to be the funniest person in America, there was this, we kind of assumed or became these characters that are on reality television. You're kind of almost, I think, like, when the show, they're kind of casting you in a way, like, who do they really want to see go to the house? Because once you went to the house, it was like Big Brother or MTV's Real World. So, I'm pretty sure the executives are pretty selective on, the dynamics of personalities and the thought of how those personalities might play out with each other once they get into a living situation. I know I'm kind of rambling, but I do have a point here. And so, I had people say negative things about me, right? It was the first time where I read just like I could go online and I could see like just what a bunch of people thought or said or felt about you. And, and then whether they thought you were good or not good, or whether they liked you or they didn't like you. Like part of being famous in a way, or having fame for a certain amount of time, is like not everybody loves you. I mean, that's like really unrealistic. I mean, look, there's a lot of people that don't like you just as much as that they like you. And it's funny. There was a speaker that we had in one of my journalism classes. They were like, someone that came in that worked in the industry. And, there was this thing about people love to listen to people that they can't stand. I can't stand them, but you still tune into that person, and you still tune into them, and you want to make comments about that person because, you can't stand them. And he said, that's kind of like the it factor. It's like some people, personalities, like let's say Rush Limbaugh, right? Or, a radio disc jockey that, Howard Stern, there are people that are going to like Joe Rogan, right? There's people that love Joe Rogan. There's people that can't stand Joe Rogan and talk about Joe Rogan. And, at some point, you just have to wear it. You got to wear other people's opinions about you, and, like not really take them into your person. However, this other thing that's been happening on the internet, with a lot of us, and the dynamics that are being played out, when you've got people that are online and they are making up stuff about you, they're lying about you, they're actually, it's a defamation campaign. It's not just like, oh, I don't think they're funny, or I don't like their personality on the show, or I hate her hairstyle, or I think she's fat, right? It runs into this area of, saying that you're a pedophile, or you're a Nazi child trafficking pedophile, or they call your job and they say, they tell your employer that you've been grooming students for your porn studio that you have that's barely legal. Or let's say, you do have something a little bit scandalous in your closet. God forbid, like not all of us live the most, have made the best choices all the time during their life. But it's that one thing that they'll take and they'll stretch it and they'll lie about it and they'll add things to it that never really existed to that. And, post it all over the internet. Post it all over the internet because, the goal is to hurt you, to hurt your reputation, to psychologically traumatize you with the words that they are saying about you. And it gets, for me, I'm just gonna say, like, what my own personal experience with this is. It's scary in a way, because a lot of these people that are doing this right now Oh, they actually approached me on other profiles. They actually sought me out in other places. Tried to, they DM'd me. They wanted to have conversations. Um, I'm sure probably some of the first 3 people that, jumped onto the stream is probably them. Like if I'm gonna talk about, let's say, I do a title and it's, Becky Dean, right? The only people that are really interested in that in terms of my audience is the people that are surrounding and involved and actually really care and know about it. And so like even when I do, like, let's say a David Schroeder video, it's not the big winner, on my channel. And um I kind of, like, if you noticed, I've been streaming more lately. I've been building my channel up lately. Over the summer, I changed the look of my channel. I've added songs. I have worked on doing other topics, or even like approaching whatever I might be saying about what's going on in this community. And I'm not going to say it's community, but like, let's say Thomas Schoenberger or David Schroeder or, Gabe Hoffman or something like that. I actually put in some research into it. Like, I actually do some background studying or find things. Like, for example, the most recent stream that I did was on Kiwi Farms, and how Kiwi Farms is connected to the source that David Schroeder used against Gabe Hoffman literally a couple weeks ago. And, it came to my attention that the profile that was on X, Travs LeBlanc, was a white nationalist and an anti-Semite. And that there looks like, there has been a long-standing attack, really, on Gabe Hoffman. And you know what? I'm not, Becky is, oh, she's white knighting for Gabe Hoffman. She's white knighting for Gabe Hoffman. She's, no, I'm not white knighting for Gabe Hoffman, because, I'm pretty sure Gabe Hoffman can take care of himself. Number one. Matter of fact, Gabe Hoffman, I think if he really wanted to, and I don't think he's probably gonna, unless it gets really, really bad. What benefit is it to sue David Schroeder, a guy who's on disability, living off of Social Security? Like, what benefit? Like, what are you going to get out of going to the legal system and saying this guy is, defaming me? Like, how do you stop someone like David Schroeder? Because, like the court systems aren't going to do anything about it. And, when you talk to David Schroeder's local police, they don't do anything about it because they consider it falls underneath the category of free speech. It's not their jurisdiction. Everybody has their own jurisdiction and their own way of handling it. By the way, for example, and this is kind of like a little bit why I'm down about this, because I have tried and reached out to every agency that I could possibly think of that might be able to protect me. People might say, well, I didn't do anything, or I didn't threaten you, or I shouldn't, you shouldn't be scared. You're just a lol cow. None of this is actually really happening to you, when in fact it is. And, I've had, I had a couple of days, a couple of years ago, where I was afraid to come on. I was afraid to go to school. I was afraid to go to school because there was somebody making comments, on Nasty Troll Media's YouTube community page, that they were going to meet me on campus. And they went by the name Professional Lurker, which I've seen that name crop up again in a few places. And also one of the names of the profiles was Meth Mama, which is kind of like sort of a thing that, I don't know, they want to accuse people of doing or being, or, there were accusations, from Nasty Troll Media, that he was trying to help me out because I was living with my neighbors were meth people, which that was never the case. Like I did not live with meth people ever. I think maybe I might have had a roommate that was a tweaker at some point, but I really can't verify that. Way in the past, like that particular drug is just like not really a part of my experience, really. And I get these accusations said about me that I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict, which is something that like Blazin Scar has like said repeatedly on her channel, and so has Patrick, from Nasty Tone Media. And they're aligned with one another, that when you get the harassment, it's not just from one person, it's from multiple people. And so there's like an echo chamber that happens. You get surrounded, the algorithm finds you because like what you look at you get more of. Or sometimes it's hard not to look. You're like, why are you looking at my channel? Well, it's because I'm looking to see if you're talking about me. I'm looking to see, like, I'm documenting it in just case I need to for court. I'm a lot of the reasons why I might look at David Schurter, or look at what Thomas Schoenberger is posting on his community page, or what Nasty Troll Media is saying about me, because it is about me, because it is defamatory, because it is malicious. And I'm sure like after I get this done, they're going to do more of it, because when I do call them out on it, instead of like stopping what they're doing, they go even harder at it. They double down on it. They do more of what you criticize them of doing, which I find odd. It's like if somebody had told me, and I had done it, right? That I was a Holocaust denier. Being a Holocaust denier in my world, and I think mostly in the public sentiment, to say that people that experienced genocide really weren't victims of genocide, or not that the number that they said that was killed during that time isn't accurate, therefore it's a lie, therefore it's some sort of conspiracy to believe that it didn't happen, is for the most part, it's like socially overall it's unacceptable. Like, I have shown some of the screenshots and the titles that Blazin Scar had in her videos yesterday. Like, I actually put it on my I didn't want it to stay on my Facebook or my Instagram, but I actually showed it in my stories because it's going to disappear in a couple of days. I wanted to show people what the conversation is, that there are a group of people out there who are still saying that the Holocaust never happened. And what gets me about Becky, and when I talk about Becky, this is mainly like an observation. It's not like I have a vendetta against her and that I need to attack her and go after her or whatever. But I really don't appreciate her ganging up on me with Patrick and with Thomas Schoenberger And, just like a year ago, they were like, slap, like almost like high fiving each other, talking about how they're going to depose me and how I suppressed, tampering with the witness and, all of this stuff about how somehow I was guilty of something and I was going to have legal prosecution and somehow Blazin Scar was going to benefit from it or something, or she was going to add her 2 cents in on the conversation to basically incriminate me. And really, my overall opinion of Becky, like for the most part, I never really wanted to mess with her. Like, I might have made a post here and there or point out that she tried to contact me on Facebook, or that she was tagging my job. Like, she's literally tagged my job recently. She tags what she thinks are my jobs. She tags Fresno City College. She tags Fresno State. But, she's tagging places that I'm getting an education at. And, Patrick's doing it, the same thing. And, obviously, because, they're going to do more of it because I've talked about it. But it really isn't okay. I mean, like, yeah, maybe you think I'm fat and maybe you think I wear a wig and maybe you don't think I'm funny and I'm not a real journalist. And, I, am a big fucking failure in my life. Nobody listens to me. I'm fat, I'm ugly, I have a big nose, whatever, okay? But when you start to like contact people's work in order to sabotage their employment, or you dox their address and you take their apartment number and go, I'm blank steps away from you, and they post it on their page, how could they not think, or how could somebody not think that would be fear inducing? That the person who has been cyber stalking you and following you on all of your social media platforms. I mean, my God, he was the first subscriber on my Substack. Like, he knew that I had a Substack before almost everybody else did. So you have a person like that, and previously, you had threats from sock puppet accounts about meeting me on campus, and I'm afraid to go on campus. And then you have somebody posting your address, or you have a group like QAnon Sec that is posting your showing the college that you go to. Showing, me being like it may be a cartoon, but I'm still being beheaded. Like, the psychological thought of what it is to like be beheaded, or to see cartoons made and about a wig that I don't wear, but it's bloody. There's like blood dripping off of it. I like the wig thing is almost kind of like funny, really, but it's not funny when it's being used when there's an undercurrent of violent context to it, like what that does to you or a person. What does it do to them psychologically? One of the things that I find interesting about what's happening with David Schroeder, you could look at David Schroeder and go, yeah, they're all doing the same thing. Like, they're doing videos of his house being blown up. There were some videos that I know that were taken down off of YouTube that I thought really crossed the line. That there was, a tinge of violence to it, like lynchings or, being drowned and, things like this. This, like, in a sense, if you want to say that, someone's a victim or somebody's being victimized by David Schroeder, then to counter him in such a fashion does give David Schroeder fodder to say that this is happening to me, and then and then he can tell his audience, oh, well, they're doing it because I'm a satanic ritual abuse survivor, and I am, all those people that are associated with doing that to me are child traffickers, and they're all working together, and I'm the person that you know isn't involved with this, like. And so I, who also has had the same, somewhat the same people, like let's say Thomas Schoenberger and his group or whatever, doing similar things to me. I mean, David Schurter doesn't have a job, so they can't try to get him fired. They can't, he has a less active life than I do. So, they're not going to go like David Schurter's not trying to earn an MFA or better their life or have a better life or increase, their opportunity to contribute in a field or to work or to do something different. David Schurter doesn't do anything like that. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering about those bags he's making. It's like those bags that he's making out of his gene material. Like, what happened to that project that he asked people to donate for so that he could actually really do it? Like, how is it? This is the whole thing about like David Schurter or really anybody, or even like what Isaac Cappy did. Like, everybody's having to get a donation. Like, I know I have my banner, like, if you want to contribute to my show or whatever, that's great. I mean, if you want to support, like, what content that I do bring to this channel, or the efforts or the research that I am bringing to this channel, or the level of quality of content, because I have a channel. I mean, this isn't really a drama channel, although today I am venting my thoughts about what has taken place on YouTube. I still feel that what I'm saying about is important to make people aware of. And I still think that it has social value. Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is this exactly? Like, what has made this, how do we all bump into each other? How do we all know each other? Like, what is this cluster of an algorithm or an echo chamber? What is this? And when you look at what it is and you see what it is connected to, and you see how it has played out in American politics and actually the world, it's a pretty powerful group in a sense. It's like it's not just like a group of people that just don't like me. It's a group of people that have an ideology together that is in sync. It's not just about like, hey, you're criticizing me on your YouTube channel, and you're saying I'm fat or whatever, or you're making videos about me. It's done for a reason, and it's done because there's a belief in something. And one of those things that keeps cropping up for me in this association is that, number one, they are MAGA followers. They are generally right-wing. And if they're not right-wing, then they have somehow crossed over into the right-wing or the far-right movement or ideologies. And one of the underbellies of that is child trafficking, involves Hollywood and what Hollywood has done to young actors, which I think that should be exposed and should be, held accountable. And, we have like certain people like, P. Diddy coming out, and, the talking of the grooming and the things that Cat Williams has said, who is another comedian who talks about, the Illuminati or how Hollywood works. A couple years ago, I covered, that Club Shay Shay interview that he did. And, I'm a fan of Cat Williams. I think he's funny. And I think that he has really exposed a certain section of what this is. Then, you get to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Years ago, before Trump and Hillary Clinton did their, were running against each other. During that time, for me, when I was on Revolution Radio, and hearing these things and hearing about the Clinton body count, and I produced Stephen D. Kelly's show on the Clinton body count. He came out and I guess there was a book that was written, and he shared all this information and how awful the Clintons were. And we have Kathy O'Brien, who tells her story of the abuse that she sustained from Bill Clinton. And some of these other people, I think there's another woman that came out at some time. Her last name was Bryce, maybe. It was like she talked about Bob Hope. And, what happened with Bob Hope. And so, like, in our world, and when I say our world, I say, the people that identify themselves with, like, the truth media or the Matrix, or, and where we would say things like awake. Like, I saw an old Taj video where he interviews Sarah Rachel Adams, and it's at an awake con, like an awake con, short for convention, right? Awake, like, but it's got the word con at the end of it, and I thought, oh yeah, it's an awake con, because that the whole thing with the 17th letter of the alphabet, we called it, it's called the Great Awakening. So it's, a group of people that fall under the category that they took the red pill in the Matrix, and now they're awake and they're out of the system and they see what the real truth is. And that was the ideology behind it, about the conspiracies and the networks, and all of it was like, this is what real spirituality is. This, and then you get into, the aliens and starseeds, and the Palladians, and like this, like it's the whole thing is wrapped up in this level of like spirituality to it, which is a manipulation. I mean, if you look at somebody like David Scherter, what does he do? He brings in some sort of like religion that isn't really Christianity. It's this, he's a shaman, he's this, he's that, he's psycho pumping people. He has special, psychic abilities. A lot of his videos will have doomsday scenarios. It's a solar flare. We're all going to die. It's the end. And then, like, when it ends, you're all ending. And my satisfaction is that you child traffickers are going to die and have to face your reality. And I'm the Grim Reaper. I'm the evil guy who decided to be dark, to be there and bring you into it. I mean, it's pretty sick, really. It's really like it's disturbing. And when you watch him say it, and then in the energy that he has behind it, it's unsettling for me. Like, I think maybe, I've just like spent way too much time even looking at David Scherter and looking at the things that he is saying about me and other people, and his anger and his aggressiveness and the caustic attitude, the words being said, words, even if you don't believe them to be true, but when it comes with a certain energy, it's like an attack. It's like an attack into like your body, your being, your consciousness, your mind, if you listen to it or you let it into your person. And I think what bothers me, like, really about a lot of the play, but going to Nathan Stoltman, I mean, to me, Nathan Stoltman is nothing but a weasel. Like, he knows I was a guest on his show. Thomas Schoenberger knows I was a guest on his show. They know exactly who I am and what I said. I can show a screenshot of, like, Patrick, like, his first DM to me on X, and have shared it and put it out there. His first DM to me to introduce himself to me was that he saw me on Lift the Veil. But, Nathan went in and lied and then baited into to David Schroeder. So David Schroeder would have more justification to do more abuse to me on the internet. And I think that's dirty. I think that's dirty. And it doesn't make him an honest person. And it doesn't make him that person that, when I was watching, the Lift the Veil, I did like him back then. And I did like Doshi, in the background. And, and he had the slogan, always honest, usually right kind of thing, that I'm telling you the truth. I'm giving you the down low. And, his channel was central to things that happened with MAGA and things that happened with Isaac Cappy, in terms of, that's really where Isaac Cappy got seen. That at that point in what Nathan Stoltman was doing had a lot of momentum. I remember, at the time, it was, what was 2017, 2018, whenever Isaac came on the scene. I think it was July 2018. Wasn't that what it was? I was, living with a friend of mine, in Hollywood, and she had a 501c3 cannabis nonprofit that I was a board member on, and that I had done a lot of activism with and everything, and had done a lot of shows with her. She was, when I was doing Hollywood Hemptress Hour, or, things for Normal Show Live, she was a regular anchor of information on what was happening, around medical marijuana. And, medical marijuana isn't, really connected to, let's say, Isaac Cappy or Lift the Veil. I mean, in fact, when I was on Lift the Veil, I actually filmed. I mean, I did that at our apartment, and the room that I was renting from her. I literally live streamed from her apartment. And we would talk about Lift the Veil. We would talk about random rants of Ryan and Vegan Mikey, and I don't know if Gabe Hoffman came up, but Gabe Hoffman, I don't know if he really remembers it, but when I was on American Freedom Radio, I was talking about and I had it wrong, or I might have had it wrong, or I wasn't saying it right, or, I mean, I didn't have a degree then. I didn't know. There are like a lot of mistakes that when I was on these channels that I made, that I've learned, now that I've gotten a degree. And, Becky like downplayed my degree and said, "Oh, you can just get that online. They're just giving out digital journalism degrees like candy." And I'm like, "What?" Like, I worked really hard for my degree. I went to school for, I don't know, I started at Fresno City College, and then I transferred to Fresno State like a year and a half into that. I switched majors because I was a theater arts major before, so I had some of my undergraduate work already done, but I still had to take some sciences and this and that. You know, I had to go. I took anthropology. I took geology. There were American history. Like, you don't just like get a degree because you want to be a journalist. If you're going to get your Bachelor of Arts, you have your undergraduate, all of that study to do that doesn't even really have anything to do with journalism. So, you know, and I worked hard and I graduated with a 3.77 grade point average from Fresno State. Before that, I had a 3.6 from Fresno City. Like, I have always been a good student. I was always on the honor roll. So, you know, it was thrilling for me to be the age that I am, to have my mind still be as sharp as it is. Like, I didn't miss a beat. It was like as if the 40 years between being in college didn't even really exist when it came to me mentally. I went right in there and made it happen. And, you know, all you guys that are out there, saying this and that and who I am and trying to put it out in the ethos of what your opinion of who I am and what I've accomplished in my life or who I am as a human being. You've taken it upon yourself to like put it out there as if it's a fact, as if you're incorrect, that you're correct, that, you know, like David, you know, I'm a Nazi child trafficking pedo and I hang out with barely legal people in Las Vegas. Well, you know what? There is no barely legal in Las Vegas. There's no barely legal club. There's no barely legal people. I mean, maybe they are. I mean, maybe they're maybe from what I can tell, there is no barely legal production happening in Vegas. And yet it's like David repeats it over and over and over and over again, like it's a fact. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, like who is David talking to? Like, who is Thomas Schellenberger posting his community posts to? What is the ideology of the demographic that follows him? I mean, look, he can like all day say that, you know, he never would try to be Saint Germain or say that he was Saint Germain or try to compare himself to Saint Germain. But the evidence proves, you know, when you see like a thumbnail where he's got like somebody put his face over Saint Germain, so it looks like he's wearing Saint Germain's wig. Why would you impose yourself over Saint Germain if you weren't trying to make people think that you were him or somehow you had I don't know what he says really, like he's related to him. I don't know what the story is. But it's kind of weird to me that and I've seen screenshots, I probably could find them in my phone somewhere, that have been sent to me of like actual pitches to the industry, Sean Stone being one of them, of a movie based on Saint Germain. And, you know, you have Michael Levin saying something like, and, you know, he really is related to him, or it really is in his DNA, or it really isn't like as if it existed in his Akashic records or something. You know, it's kind of like, you know, well, we hold what is within our DNA. It's, you know, it's who our ancestors are, and, you know, what the, you know, people believe that, you know, their ancestors, that's part of their religion, like that's part of their you know, network of people, their guides, their spirit guides. Or they believe that their ancestors get reincarnated, like we are reincarnated within the same family line, basically. That's also like, a belief. And so there's this like manipulation to, put Thomas Schellenberger into this sort of like mythological Renaissance man, composer, Cicada 3301 puzzle maker, like one of the most smartest puzzles out there, most mysterious puzzles written about. And, he is the person behind it. Well, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. Like, I'm sorry. I can't believe it. I mean, I cannot believe that just as much as like some of you guys don't believe that the Holocaust happened. Like, do you want to accept that and then also believe that the Holocaust didn't happen? Like, are people that gullible that they want to just, put him, they automatically think that there's something special just because it's been put online and there's a substantial algorithm about it? I mean, the Financial Times actually reported a lot about this. A lot of like my understanding of like, the possibility that that Cicada 3301 is game jacked. There is no real proof that he is any of these people that have their faces on the website had anything to do with the original puzzles. And if you research it and you really look into it, you Google it, or you open AI, you look at articles, it is still determined that the actual people behind that puzzle is still unknown. The Washington Post wrote an article about it, about how it's one of the 5 most mysterious puzzles out there on the internet. And yet, Thomas Schellenberger is willing to threaten lawsuits with people for questioning that fact or for saying that I don't think it is. And then you get down to like, the original LLC that was originally taken out by Michael Levin, that was discontinued, I think, in like 2018. Then you have the split of the trademark, and then, Beth Bogart's giving the trademark to Marcus Wanner. And then you have like the cryptocurrency that popped up, the Cicada token. I don't know where that's at right now, but I remember when I interviewed Marcia Stockton and Thomas Schellenberger, not Thomas Schellenberger, but he put that together. See, Thomas was the person that wanted me to interview Marcia Stockton and Mindy Waits and Titus Frost, because, and they wanted me to get a restraining order against Jesse Davis with Mindy. Now, I've talked about this before, what the plan was. But when I interviewed, about Cicada, I knew very little about Cicada. I knew very little about, I knew Titus Frost maybe had something to do with, Pizzagate or something, whatever. I knew that he had a channel of some sort. The name was familiar to me, but I really didn't know exactly who Titus Frost was when he was on my show. And so Marcia Stockton is, she mentions how the Cicada token was giving back, and that they were giving money to Ukrainian refugees. And I went to Freedom. It was, there was a post on Freedom's Publishers Clearing whatever. I never can get it. Union. And the screenshot that they were using, the snapshot of the email from the organization, had some issues for me. and it didn't look legitimate. I questioned its legitimacy in a video that I made shortly after that. So I don't really know like what like the gaming practices are in terms of, can you game for a puzzle without having a trademark for gaming? Or, does your LLC have to say that it's covering gaming in order to have an LLC to be doing what you're doing? Because it's like if you're gaming and you're giving away currency, then that involves something else. And I don't really know the legalities of this, really. But I questioned it. I questioned it. I know I'm kind of like rambling right now, and um it's not like I'm trying, like, you the listener, like I don't need to prove myself to, David Schurter that I'm, really not a child trafficker, that I'm really just a person who during COVID went back to their hometown, wanted to be with their parents because they were getting older and I didn't want to miss any more time with them, and decided to get their degree. Like, I had been toying with going back to college and getting a degree for a really long time. And I asked my mom before I made the commitment to do it, I said, "Do you think I'm too old? Like, do you think, I mean, because at this point, I think I was like 58 when I really thought, yeah, I'm going to go back." And she goes, "No, you're never too old. You're never too old to get your degree. You're never too old to learn, to get an education." I'm sorry, I just kind of like it makes me a little bit like, I feel a little teary eyed about it because, when I graduated, my mom, like, there's a TikTok video they made about my mom. A lady noticed my mom was so cheery and she was so happy. She goes, "Whose grandma is this?" "Well, it's my mom." And they go, "They are so proud of you." And it was my mom. It was my mom. That was my mom. And when I graduated, it was like a movie, like, like the dean, like, just, opened her arms and said, hugged me. My professors hugged me as I went down to shake their hand. And I loved learning. And I feel like, like you guys, like, you put down the educational system and, like, what our youth is and how, twisted everything is and how they're being lied to. That's not true. That's not true. There are, like, to know American history, like, I know what the 14th Amendment is. Like, I've gone over the Constitution again. I've had history lessons. I know about the League of Nations. I got tested on it. I think sometimes, like, as people, like, we forget. We forget what that is. We forget who we are. We forget, like, we forget the great things about this country. But we also have not been good either. Like, we gave infested blankets to the Indians. And, we had slaves and lynchings and Jim Crow laws and blackface and Confederate flags and white supremacists and burning crosses on laws and systemic racism in police and way too many brown and black people incarcerated in prisons. And one of the things that, I see with, this group of people is that, they use blackface in their profiles, or they talk about the, Confederate flag, or when you look at your chat, you're spelling the N-word all down the line together and you think it's funny. And, the very movement that, that you guys, I hate to say it, but unfortunately, a lot of you, your Twitter accounts are in Laura Dilley's paper. I looked at it. I know your accounts in it. I know your Twitter, Titus. Like, the whole thing about that paper isn't really, I think, wasn't really something that was like meant to like persecute somebody. But it was an analysis of showing that how the information disseminated, like let's say LTV or Isaac Cappy or whatever, like whatever was coming down those channels was not organic. It wasn't an organic group of people that came together. It was somewhat like cultivated. And when you go back in and being that now I am a journalist, wherever I may work at now or in the future, or even if it's, just the fact that I build up my own platforms, my own blog, my own Substack, my own podcast on Spotify, whatever I do in social media, like I learned social media. I learned branding. I learned marketing. I've had more than one class on it. Like I learned how to photograph and take pictures and film and do video and edit. I took 2 filmmaking classes. So, my thought is like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I could even go on and just do my own thing. And I will do that along with everything else, because like even in journalism, like having a following or having people listening to what you say, I mean, like I still perform as a stand-up comic. Like that's not over for me. Like I have, the whole thing about like what I do on social media and why I do it. Like you can't really have a business if you don't have a social media account. You can't be a journalist without an X account or an Instagram or, you just can't, because people tune into a person as well. They read somebody's work. They follow, like Michael Wolff right now. Well, he's everywhere with Jeffrey Epstein. Cy Hirsch. There are people, and that's just one example. There's the lower levels, just like everything else. But it's a requirement. It's a requirement. So, at this point, if I am going to post something out in the public domain, don't you think that I would have a little more concern about to make sure that I'm sourcing what I'm saying and I'm actually showing something, a screen, I have a receipt to actually really, back what I'm saying. That I can't just go, well, Blazin Scar is a, Becky Dean is a Holocaust denier, unless I can actually really show footage of her doing that. If I'm going to say that she, is giving out anti-Semitic sentiments, then I better be able to show that that's exactly what she's done, and I've done that. Like, for me to say that about Becky and show people that, yeah, this is what's happening on YouTube. There are people on YouTube doing streams. Some of them, I think one of them was like 3 hours long, of footage of the argument that the Holocaust didn't happen. The whole thing's made up, I suppose. And what gets me about it is like, for me, which is alarming, is to listen to her talk to me as if I'm gonna give you an education, Terry Joyce. I'm gonna show you what's real, because you're just like a fake digital journalist that you can get a degree on anyone. You got a big fat nose. I mean, literally, that's kind of like what those are some of the things she said. How is that an argument? How is that even? I saw another thing where it's like, oh, well, the UN was created because that's a hoax too, because if you really look at the League of Nations was created by Woodrow Wilson. And then that became the UN, the United Nations. And the League of Nations dissolved and it became the United Nations. And one of the things about the League of Nations, it was about colonialism. It was about democracy. It was about like helping countries be free, like the United States. And then, then the Holocaust happened. World War II happened. There was like, and at that point, they deemed what Hitler did was genocide, and it was a war crime. And you remember, like, all of like Operation Paperclip happened. All the scientists came to the United States, right? I know this is what happened. And so we made these rules and these laws and this process of making sure that a country doesn't commit genocide on another country. And what gets me right, and I totally think that there's genocide being committed on the Palestinians, and it needs to be stopped. I totally think that. I think it's wrong. I also think it's wrong, to not acknowledge that a Holocaust happened, that this happened to Jewish people by Hitler, and it's an atrocity, and it should never be acceptable. I think like what we've been doing to other human beings and saying and acting like we're superior to them, or I want something, it's me first, survival of the fittest, I guess. I have to conquer you in order to survive. I want this country, I want this land, I'll just go ahead and wipe you out. Oh, wait, because you don't have blonde hair and blue eyes? Because you're not the Uber man? I think that's sick and inhumane. And yet, most of us are just afraid to talk about it. Don't say how you really feel about what's going on, between Israel and Palestine, because you might lose your job. You might not be able to feed your kids. I mean, for me, like, someone like Blazin Scar, she's like, it's like an annoyance. It's like she's part of the symptom. She's a symptom of something that's not okay. Not okay with us. Not okay with us as people. For our survivor. How is the human race going to make it? Should we make it? Are we worthy of making it? Who are we really? Do we really care about the truth? Do we really love each other? Are we really kumbaya? I heart you. I don't know. At the same time, I see incredible kindness happen. Like one time I was having a kind of a rough day, just with things, and I had to like at Fresno State you have to have certain vaccinations. I'm not talking about the COVID. I'm talking about like your rubella and measles and all those kind of things. And when you get older, those, if you've had those vaccinations, they don't last forever. And so I had to show they wanted the first, my first year when I went, I had to give them my vaccination status transfers. I didn't have it. I don't know. I think it was like my mom goes, "It might be in your baby book." It wasn't. It wasn't sufficient. It wasn't what I needed. So I had to take a blood test, and they ran through what I still had immunities to from a vaccination, and I was missing that one that's 3 bundled together. And I had to do one more, like I somehow I slipped in by getting my second dose. And I didn't get my second dose. I got the first dose, but I had to take a second dose. And I graduated and everything like that. But then when I came back this year, they said, you're missing your dose. So I had to go and take, the second dose of that vaccination. And I they go, we emailed you the records. And so, because I needed to have a receipt, because you always have to have a receipt. You just can't tell them, oh yeah, I'm vaccinated. Just like you can't call somebody, a Holocaust denier unless you have the receipt, right? Because that's a big accusation to make on somebody, to publicly announce that somebody else is a Holocaust denier. You got to show that that's real. Just like let's say David Schroeder, when he accuses me of pedophilia or being a Nazi or anything that he's been saying about me or any other person, you really need to show a receipt when you make accusations about people like that. When you make assumptions, when you invade people's lives over it, when you call their job in hopes that you're going to fire, that is an intent of harm. And that's something that Kiwi Farms does. That's what they did too. Which is the source that Travis LeBlanc sent to David Schroeder. One of the links. And what they do on that website, which is banned off of Cloudflare, is the same tactic that's happening right now, that's spearheaded by the group. I mean, I don't really, want to, who's at the helm of it? Who's orchestrating it? And then it was shocking to see that the same receipts that are on David Schroeder's blog are on that website. It's not just from Travis LeBlanc. Travis LeBlanc probably is part of that website, or he got those things from that website. It's a locale website. 3 people unaliven themselves. It's anti-trans, it's anti-LGBTQ, and it has anti-Semitism. So then people are listening. Nobody's saying a word. Just listening. Just listening. What's fascinating to you about this? Huh? Just curious. Oh, you're going to leave now. I wasn't even paying attention, really. I'm just talking. So, I want to just, like in this, screenshot here. It's something that Blazin Scar wrote on her recent post on her community page, and I just want to read it because it's when you talk about like violent words or violent terminology, the things that are being said that I don't know could feel like an assault, really, even though it's just, she's in Ohio, like she's not gonna come here and really choke me. But here's what she wrote, and she's responding to something that I said. I said nobody owns me, Becky Dean, because she had posted that she owns me. Like, really seriously, who says that about somebody? Who says that they own somebody? Well, slave owners probably said it. I mean, we live in America. We're supposed to have a democracy. We're supposed to be what is it with the what is it? Let me bring it up. The Declaration of Independence. Okay, national awareness. Due to the threat to the federal government, National Archives facilities are closed. Websites and social media are not being updated or monitored. Okay. July 4th, 1776. And you know what? My birthday is July 4th. Isn't that ironic? The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, when the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature's God, entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect the safety and happiness, prudence indeed, and dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms of which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for that future security. Such has been the patient governance for these colonies, and such now is the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present king of the Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to the candid world. He has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended to their operation till this assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. And it goes on. I'm sorry, but, saying that you own somebody, even if it's like a push or a gain of power over the conversation, isn't really very American. And so here's what she writes. Tag him and bag him. Oh, I 100% certainly do own you, Terry Joyce Randolph. It's not my fault you aren't yet feeling the chokehold I'm putting on you. So, the word chokehold it's violent. She's saying that she's putting a chokehold on me. I mean, yeah, maybe like her, hands aren't around my neck and she's actually trying to squeeze me to death. But she's wanting to do some sort of control or, damage, to cause harm or to shut me up. It's not my fault you aren't feeling the chokehold I'm putting on you. It's getting tough to swallow. Wow. Wow. Truth doesn't fear investigation, Terry Joyce Randolph. I don't fear investigation. I want to let everybody know that I'm pretty much an open book. I'm very honest about my life. I'm very honest about what I've done good and bad, how I feel, like I am right now. You can come and investigate me. You can come fingerprint me. You can search my house. You can look all over in my computer if you want to. And I am not a child trafficker. And I have nothing to fear in terms of something that I'm supposedly should be punished for or I've done in lieu of the absolutely insane defamation that I have received and lies that have been said about me on YouTube, on X, on social media in general. Written, spoken, cartoon, AI image, lie, you name it, has been coming full force. So if you think, Becky, because I know she's probably going to do a video about this and speed it up and, talk over it and talk to her people, her crew, that apparently, let me see. what was really interesting when I was looking at the 2 other Holocaust streams that she did yesterday, I didn't really watch all of it. Like, I beeped in them now. I got the basic essence and I popped out because, why? I mean, I had a busy day yesterday. I'm in college, right? And who I can't stand it. I'm going to listen to 45 minutes or 3 hours of somebody trashing me and then trying to convince me that the Holocaust never happened. Like, what a freaking nightmare to like sit through all of that. In my mind, it's just like, it's like torture, really. But who was in the chat, which I thought was interesting, was Lisa Lake, who's also a little player in all of this. And Angela A. Pavlov's corn dog, who I have a history with her too. Oh, and somebody named Lori, and I'm wondering if that's Lori Alexander Swan. And there was a lot of references to tacos and what tacos did, and tacos did that. Like, I really don't care what tacos did to Becky. I could care less. None of it. I do not care about most of the drama that happens to people in that smaller little nippy, predator catcher hoax group. I just, I'm like, why? What is wrong with these people? But I will say something that I see as a central identification is they're anti-Semitic. They're racist. And they blatantly say it. And they say it in their ex posts. And, Denise is doing all these videos about, am I an anti-Semite? Well, we heard you say in the past that you were. We like I'm on this Kiwi Farms and they've got, they're talking about me Kiwi Farms. Yeah, why are they talking about you on Kiwi Farms? I don't have anything to do with that, but you do have something to do with it. So here she writes, Terry Joyce, I own you. And then I went back to the one video because I was thinking of like just recording some of it just for like, like some of the things that she said just for my own documentation. I'm not necessarily to show, and I'm not going to show her videos today. I'll show you. I'll let you look at them, but I don't really feel like playing them. And so I said, how embarrassing are you? And she's like, yes, Terry Joyce, Becky Dean said there are no gas chambers. And she, and this is like, this is what started it. I made this video yesterday. It was actually an excerpt out of my video that I did on Sunday. But it was weird. I was dreaming about this. Like, I dreamt, it was in my dream. It was like one of those dream nights where you dream and then it comes back to you in your dream. And it's like, and then I'm thinking the title and, it's like, I don't know, when I have dreams about something, I sometimes I wonder if I mean, I think it's significant. It means something if it went into your dream cycle. I always kind of trust that. So I got up and I said, Becky Dean says there's no gas chambers, Terry Joyce. And then I made this, Holocaust denier. So this is like not, I didn't create a new video for Becky, but I felt like it needed to be said. That for me, it's because I don't care to be in drama with her. I feel like arguing with her is like a step down for me. And I know that that might sound really like conceited, but it's like, no, she's obviously, in my mind, my opinion, she's a troll. She's a troll, and she's done things to me and behaved in ways that I would say would be considered cyber harassment. Now, she wants to say that I'm cyber harassing her, but I never sought her out. I never went to her Facebook. I never went to her things. I mean, I look at what she does occasionally because I know that she says things about me, because it intersects with all and many types of the abuse that's happened. I mean, there's references to niece that she's made to me. She accused me of being a nonanon, that I was actually like doxing myself. So she has said things that were untrue about me in terms of like what I was going through and what I was experiencing, and afraid to go on campus. She was not legitimizing my own experience, like she's not legitimizing what happened to the Jews during the Holocaust. She's saying, well, it didn't really happen. So how should I think that she would legitimize like what abuse is actually coming my way online, or her participation with it, if she can't even admit that a population that actually was historically, they were trying to exterminate. Someone was trying to exterminate. After all the History Channel things that we watched on TV, of all the stuff that's like happened in in our educational systems, it's one big conspiracy and it never really happened. And she's going to tell me exactly what that is. I think that that is noteworthy to point out, that that is a ideology with a group of people that hang out and also are associated to a far right-wing conspiracy that affected American politics. And when they did say that that group or that president had these kind of supporters, and there were these racial flare-ups that happened, George Floyd and all the stuff that happened while he was in his last administration. And you want to say that this undercurrent or these things like Kiwi Farms and this and that don't have anything to do with it? That there is an ideology of people that do not hold up what the Declaration of Independence is, and they do not acknowledge the history of this country and what our founding fathers really wanted to do, and they think that they're righteous, and they think that they're patriots while they're doing it. I mean, like, how did Hitler convince people to do all those atrocities? I bet they had that kind of mindset because they think that they're entitled, that it's the right way. And there's spirituality and mysticism attached to it. Well, that's a big, potent, powerful combination to form an ideology and a movement and a destruction in society. I mean, this guy, a Trump nominee got stepped down for making a Nazi. He said he was texting anti-Semite sentiments and said he had a Nazi streak. That's happening in our politics right now. Trump wanted to appoint him. I guess that's okay, right? No? All right. Anyway. I gotta go. I'm gonna play up my thoughts. I'm going to say goodbye for today.
Pretty wild on the stripper's pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. Spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud all for the lows, but baby that's not my rabbit hole.